Hi, Taurus. Welcome to your August 2018 Astro Update. It's Raina here, me and the locusts or whatever those thingies are that are outside. I have all the windows closed, but I can still hear them in unison, and it's very, very loud. I kind of like it, but not necessarily for recordings. So I don't know if it's going to be picked up. Now, it seems like when I start talking about them, they're even louder. But anyway, in August for you, Taurus, there's a strong emphasis on home and family. And I think that a lot of Taurians are kind of like homebodies, and that's an area of life that is very important to you. So this might come as welcome news, especially if you've been looking to sell a house, for instance, or move into a house. There might be some holdups because as the month begins, we have the sun in that fourth house of home and family, which for you is Leo, but Mercury retrograde is happening. And so you may be involved with some matter that has to do with selling a home or buying a home. And especially I would say maybe buying a home. And it feels like it's not happening. It feels like there's some kind of roadblock. Maybe there's I was going to say a document, but a contract that is not quite right because Mercury can be contracts and you have to redo it or you have to look at it again. Well, Mercury goes direct on the 19th, so this is going to cover the first few weeks of the month. If you're listening before the 25th of July, Mercury is going retrograde then, because I'm going to be posting this on the 23rd of July. So there's a good chance that some of you are going to be listening before August even begins. And I want you to know that Mercury retrograde is starting in the last week of July. So my point is not to get too uptight. This too shall pass. And if it doesn't pass exactly on the 19th, or I said passed. If it doesn't pass on the 19th, remember that when a planet retrogrades, it takes time for it to get back up to speed. It's lost a bunch of degrees, and time will allow it to regain its strength, come out of the shadow period, and then you can really feel this sense of forward momentum. I would say that September is a good time for all of us in this regard because we're getting past the retrogrades with these personal planets. Not only Mercury, but Mars also comes into the month retrograde. And so I'll get to that in a second. So on the 6th, Venus is coming from a fellow Earth sign, Virgo. So that's forming a friendly angle called a trine. And that is in the 5th house of love and creativity, which Venus is completely at home with. And then it goes into 6th house of health. So we have Venus in this love house for almost a week. And that's really good if you're looking for love, because there may be some situation where you're kind of crushing on someone. Now, the thing that's important to understand is that when Venus is in Virgo, that doesn't mean necessarily that you're involved in a love affair. That could be, but you're not going to have a new moon in Virgo until September. So it could be kind of like you're finding somebody that really you feel romantic feelings towards. Maybe you're just talking to them. Maybe they're a coworker. Especially when Venus goes into 6th house, which is the work sector. That could definitely be a time when you happen to find love in the office place. But in any case, Venus in the 6th house can also be that you want to improve your appearance through health. So whether it's your diet that you're looking at, or whether it's your actual, exercise routine, you're going to be kind of like interested in that connection between the health of your body and your physical appearance. You can also be investing in appliances that are very expensive, because Venus can be luxury items that are also health related, like Vitamixes and, anything, dehydrators, who knows, things that you might use to improve your diet. The next day on the 7th, Uranus goes retrograde in your sign, Taurus. Now, Uranus entered Taurus on May 15th, which I think was kind of symbolic or significant because it was the same day as the new moon in Taurus. What that told me, Taurus, is that the universe was signaling to you that it's time to change. In the first house, it could be changing your wardrobe. Or, I know that sounds so shallow, changing the way that you look. It doesn't have to be just your clothes. It could be your physical appearance. Now look at that. So Uranus in the first and Venus in the 6th. See, that's the physical. So changing that, and also just changing your life in general, because this is like a whole new cycle. When Uranus is in that first house, it's like starting from the ground floor up. And Taurus isn't one of those signs that embraces change very easily. So this is why Uranus being in Taurus is really an oddball combination. In a similar way, you could say that Jupiter in Scorpio is like that as well, because the planet and the sign don't really mesh well. Uranus is like, nonconformist, radical, and unpredictable. Taurus is dependable. Taurus is more on the conservative side. So when you get these two together, it's like clashing colors or clashing patterns. However, I actually think it's really cool, because I think that Uranus can breathe new life into Taurus and make Taurus, force Taurus to kind of take chances and to do things differently. And I think that's really important for Taurus. I think that's one of the things that keeps Taurus from growing, is this refusal to change. And so when Uranus is retrograding, it's going to be a little bit crazy, because it's already crazy. So how do when you have crazy on steroids, unpredictable on steroids, what happens? Who knows? Your guess is as good as mine, Taurus. But anyway, just embrace the kind of curveballs and own them, because you never know which curveball could be something that ends up being very profitable for you, or if it's a relationship that lasts for the rest of your life. On the 11th, we have another eclipse, this time a partial solar eclipse in Leo. That 4th house of home and family lit up, and new beginnings. Now, not necessarily on the 11th, but going forward in future weeks. And this could even include September and October, where you see change in your domestic sphere. I can't say the word, I say sphere. Your domestic area of life, let's put it that way. And again, that's why I kind of was thinking that some of you may be purchasing property or moving into a new place, or at least you have the opportunity to in the next several months. And the other thing, too, is that this is the house of family. So if you've had any kind of estrangement with your mother or your family of origin in general, there could be a reunion. Or it's not necessarily a reunion, but there could be just this new relationship that develops from this old connection. And you might, if you have any interest in selling real estate for a living, then that might be also featured for you. On the 19th, Mercury goes direct in that 4th house. That's the other thing that I wanted to say, because I was talking about contracts. I was talking about things that are related to buying a home and whether they go kind of askew when Mercury goes retrograde. But I didn't talk about misunderstandings with your mother or with your family in general, your family of origin, I would say particularly. So anything that may have been some kind of a miscommunication will be resolved at this time, and you can go forward with this new level to the relationship. Because even if we're talking about with the fourth house, something to do with your family of origin, you might say, but I'm 50 years old. How can I have a new beginning with this family that I've known since the day I was born? But it's a new chapter in the relationship. So maybe they treated you a certain way because they didn't know any better and you were a child, and they never quite made the jump to you as an adult, and you've always resented their treatment of you in a kind of a babyish way. And who knows, maybe now they can see you as an adult if you kind of communicate with them, and that's the Mercury retrograde could be kind of rehashing things in order to get to that new level. And also for contracts, if there was something that was held up, now we can go forward. On the 28th, the full moon is in Pisces. Oh, I don't know. Why did I write 28th? I meant 26th. The full moon is in Pisces at 3 degrees of Pisces. And this is in your 11th house of hopes and wishes. So Taurus, I'm wondering if there is some connection between this full moon in the 11th and something to do with real estate. Maybe this is something that you've wanted. Maybe you've wanted to own a home for the longest, and you never thought it would happen, and it has. And you're just, over the moon, as they say. Pardon the pun, because it is a full moon. So that can be like wish fulfillment. And it may be a long time coming for some of you. Who knows? Whatever this dream might be. Culmination. The 11th house is friendships. You may be like finding something out about a friend, or it doesn't have to be like news about a friend, maybe insights within yourself where you see that person in a new light, and it may impact whether or not you choose to remain friends with them, because you may be seeing them and saying, we're just not compatible. I finally have seen this. And so you end the relationship. You might not just say, I'm never talking to you again, but in your mind, you've ended it. Or maybe it's a group that you've belonged to and you don't like the direction they're going in. And you just kind of say, sayonara. And the very next day on the 27th, Mars, I forgot to put this because it's funny, we're right before the Mercury retrograde. I've had two computers kind of conk out on me in different ways, or one of them, pretty much totally. The other one just, in terms of some of the keys are missing. Well, I took them off, but forget about it. You don't need to know that, right? But I was recopying the information, and basically on the 12th of the month, Mars, which started retrograding in late June in Aquarius, which for you is your 10th house of career, no less, on the 12th goes back into Capricorn. Again, another trine, another friendly angle, the house of the higher mind, the God house, long distance travel, academia. So on the 27th, the day after the full moon in your 11th house, we have Capricorn going direct in that 9th house. So something, I feel like for some Taurians, there is some kind of retracing your steps where it connects to maybe a spiritual endeavor turned career and whatever your career is now. So maybe like you're doing, let's say you are working in the healthcare field. Let's say you're a nurse, but you've always wanted to do Reiki healing, or you always wanted to be a yoga teacher. You may go back, that's what the retrograde is, and finish up some of these courses that you need to graduate, and then you're going forward at the end of August, and possibly that will be your career. I'm not saying that it will, but maybe you're kind of redoing something or finishing something that you started that has some kind of a spiritual bent, or maybe you had to take a course over the summer for your college credits or something in order to like even a gen ed course that you need to proceed in your career. In your for your degree program. Who knows? So all of that is happening for you in August, Taurus. And I hope that you enjoyed this. If you'd like a private reading where I do this for you specifically, please click on the link below to my natal chart interpretation. I also take it out a year to look at trends that are happening in your chart, but also look at your personality traits too. Okay, well, take care of yourselves. Have a wonderful August. Bye.